Hello, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. We're getting onto the table as well, and we will soon be having our wonderful simulcast extravaganza as we do each week. So glad to have everyone with us tonight. Hope you're all well. Oh, Elaine. Elaine's phone is ringing, so she'll grab it, no doubt. And yeah, and I'll get onto all of this stuff, and off we go. Go.
Okay.
There. Okay. Join with video. There we go. And here we all are. Okay.
Oh, yes, I guess so.
Here we are.
Okay.
Here we are.
Okay.
Welcome.
Do you have David, hon?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
Let me mute my video. Hello, David. Hello, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. There we go. So, David, let's see. I can't hear you. So I can't hear you. But other than that, everything is perfect. So you're not, yeah, you'll have to. So hi, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. Well, you know, we're busily doing all the things we're doing. So lots to talk about today. So here, Elaine, and we're working on the Space Command comic, issue number 2. It's coming out great. If you see, here's the wonderful stuff we've got going. So it's really gorgeous. It will be the special Mira Furlan issue. Can't wait to share it with all of you guys. And yeah, so that's about it. So David, I can't hear you yet. Hopefully at some point I will be able to hear you. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
Hi. Can we hear you? 3? I don't know. So that's 3 of us. Hold on. Yeah, pretty exciting.
Can you guys hear us?
Can you hear us? Yeah,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
can't hear you. That's really weird.
That's
'cause
strange.
I haven't spoken yet. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Oh,
now
yeah,
we
I
can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, speaking.
David's pointing at his head and indicating that he's lost his mind. Okay, that's interesting. Well, maybe I'll do the questions, the Mr. Sci-Fi questions. Happy to answer questions. Let's see where we go. You can see the spacesuits in the background, including the one from Aliens. And there's Elaine. There we go. Yeah, we can hear
There
you
you
now.
are,
We have
yay.
a new camera and a new microphone. Apparently, it's so new I couldn't get it to work. But here we are.
Yeah, I see
Yay.
my Man Who Would Be King poster. What?
A small group tonight, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's-
well, if we take our turns quickly, we can be gone in 15 minutes. So let's do that.
Let's do it.
So let's see. Now
Baker, happy inauguration day. What does that mean?
that's Trump. So yeah, so it's
Yeah, it's supposed
Hi,
to
Scott
be-
Baker. Hi, everybody. So we're just busy as hell on all the Space Command stuff, on the Showrunners Network stuff, on writing the new book stuff. So David Bartlett or Dave, do you either one of you take a turn? Because yeah, it is a little bit underpopulated today.
Hi,
probably
everybody who
everyone's-
isn't there.
Yeah, hi everybody. Hi everybody.
Well, I suppose we can say hi, and then if other people join in,
Yes,
we can
we
maybe
can.
take a full turn. Then I'll just give you an update
Good.
on Space Command.
Yay.
People over at how do you pronounce it? Mr. Sci-Fi? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Let's see. We are moving ahead on episode 2. We are working on the animatic based on the comic book. We got some full color pages that are just great from Tahani Farr.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, girl.
And so I've added a little bit of animation to that and
Great.
dropped them into the timeline. And I'm actually going to do a little repair on one of the photos while we're having our little meeting here. Hi, Carol.
Great.
And Carol Field just stopped by.
Huh?
And
Tahani's pretty brilliant.
There we go.
Oh, yes.
Tahani's
Yeah.
just great.
She is. So okay, great. Well, we have a quorum now. Is there anything you want to add?
So go on to somebody. I'll do some work here and
Okay.
get back to me later.
Great. Okay, great. Yay.
Yay.
So is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question yet, David?
They're working on it. They're getting warmed up here.
Okay.
Okay, great. So Carol, why don't we go with you? We have a minion. You have to remember to unmute so we can hear you.
Sorry, good
There.
evening. I think last week was Perm, we missed it.
Yes, yes, no doubt.
Hi, everybody. I met with the literary manager
Oh,
yes.
good.
this week. She wanted to meet me. Very nice. It was an interesting meeting. I said to her, it's never been a problem getting theatrical agents representation in New York or here, but here literary, it's just been so hard.
Uh-huh.
And she said it's because we have much less work than sending a bunch of actors out. It's much less work.
Yes.
So, and whatever. It was a very nice meeting. I left there. I left the contract. She said to me, do you want me to send the contract with you?
Uh-huh.
I said, no, but I should have. I should have taken the contract with me.
Yes.
So she has, I signed with her until I have the contract back in my hand with her signature on it.
Yes, yes.
But so when I do, we will all go out for champagne.
Great.
And, she loves my dating down book. She said she wants to take it to Warner Brothers. I said, do you have a lot of contacts? She said, yes.
Uh-huh.
So,
cool.
I just ran in. I'm just between six worlds right now.
That's okay.
And so it was just very, very nice. And I said to her, I hope to bring you joy and I hope to make you money.
Great. That's
and
great.
I said, it used to be about ego and it used to be about passion. It's not about ego and it's about passion and about money.
Good. Well,
Great.
Whatever works.
So,
whatever works. So
works. I will keep you posted, and thank you so much for supporting me through this very strange, odd time.
Yes. Well, that's fine, Carol. Is there anything else you need or any other questions you have?
No, I'm good. I'll just be eating while we're here. By the way, I just drove by Marie Calendar, and it is open.
Good.
For patio dining.
Good.
Not that anyone wants to go right now. So
Okay.
we're good, and I'll keep everyone posted, and I wish us all well.
Just a quick question. The person who's submitting it, do they have negotiating skills?
Oh, sure.
Oh, great.
Sure. It's a major management firm. So
good.
Great.
Good.
Okay, lovely.
I'm just not touting anything right now because I don't have the contract in my hand.
We understand.
So she says, I'll send you of it.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. Well, 3 cheers.
Yay.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Excellent.
That's great.
Great.
Thank you. It's a bit of a coup thus far.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great. Good work. Good work. Do we have a Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
They are coming strong. Scott Baker says, for Elaine,
Yeah.
how's the Sweethaven project going?
Sweethaven. Well, that's mostly Mark.
Well, no, that's us. That's both of us. We wrote
Both
it.
of us.
Both of us. Why don't you answer?
It's moving along. It's very exciting. The loss of
Mira
was a very great loss because she was one of the key actors in Sweethaven.
Yeah, she and Bob Picardo were going to play a married couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's exciting is that we're able to use a lot of wonderful actors who are just above 60.
Yes.
And so, it's a great cast right now. It's just a question of getting set for the reading and money gathering.
Yeah. And again, Sweethaven is part of the Showrunners Network, a project of 6 new series we're creating with major showrunners. With Sweethaven, Rockne O'Bannon is aboard. He created Farscape and Defiance and many other shows. He's currently executive producer on Evil. And its basic premise is that everyone in the world under 60 dies, and the people 60 and above have to figure out how to keep humanity going.
Which is extremely cool because the only scripts we seem to see of anybody over 60 are Alzheimer's.
Yes.
Scripts.
Yes. And so yeah. And but we have Barbara Bain, Bob Picardo, on and on. I mean, just tons of Gates McFadden is in it from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Veronica Cartwright. We're just concluding our deal with her. Everything. So it's really fun stuff. So so great. So thank you.
I have a question that I will ask you some other time. Just remind me about Sweethaven. I don't know if the question is ready for prime time, so I'll save it for when we.
Okay, good.
Great.
Thank you, Dave.
Remind me because I don't do that well.
Yes. Now, Dave Edison, is there anything else you wanted to add now that we have a few people aboard?
Oh, well, let's see. I've been recommending a few things, and we recently got the Disney Plus for our Roku, and Amy's brother said, you got to see The Mandalorian, so he gave her a year of Disney Plus for her birthday.
Oh, wow.
So we watched The Mandalorian. It was fun, some nice surprises, and we're watching WandaVision now. And but one thing I stumbled upon is I had mentioned a few weeks ago about the Japanese Spider-Man series, 1978-79.
Yes.
It was a very short-lived series, but apparently extremely popular, and it helped launch a lot of the shows that turned into Transformers and giant robot stuff and what have you. But there's a documentary that runs about 50 minutes on Disney Plus if you have it.
Wow.
And it's just mind-boggling how they got this thing on the air. And just
Great.
Squeezed everything out of it. I'm wearing a shirt today. For those who are on Zoom, you can see. It says the comic strip. And the comic strip is the stand-up club that I started at in New York.
Cool. That's great.
Marcetical.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a story behind it. We lost somebody this week.
Oh dear.
The guy who started the club is a name that, unless you're a stand-up, you probably don't know. His name is Richard Tinkin. And Richie was this guy from the Bronx, like I am. He was a young bar owner, and he went down to catch a rising star on the east side of Manhattan, the Upper East Side, famous club that had David Brenner and Freddie Prinze, and a lot of people came out of there. The West Side had the Improv, the original Improv. So they went to see a friend of theirs do an audition spot at Catch a Rising Star, and the place was packed. They couldn't get in. They couldn't get a word in. They were treated very rudely. So they left. And they said, well, if there's this many people and they can't get in and they're going to treat us that way, he and his friend walked around the neighborhood. And that was on the First Avenue in the 70s, upper 70s. On 2nd Avenue in the low 80s, just a few blocks away, they found a vacant space. And they said, well, if that's the way they're going to be, we'll open the competition around the corner.
Cool.
And they opened the comic strip, which is Catch eventually closed, the Improv closed. The comic strip is still around. It will probably survive through the pandemic.
That's great.
If you ask Eddie Murphy or Chris Rock or Jerry Seinfeld or Colin Quinn or Adam Sandler or any of the people who worked the club in those days, the same years that I was there, who Richie Tinkin is, they'll have plenty to tell you about him.
Great.
He was an amazing guy. I'm just trying to remember. Oh, you can check out on Amazon Prime, there's a documentary called Eat, Drink, Laugh. The story of the comic strip. I'm in it for about 20 seconds before I shave my head, and you'll see why I shaved my head. But it only runs about an hour and 15 minutes. A lot of it is about somebody else who was one of the important members of the club who had passed away. But it's an interesting story with a lot of comedians giving some input. I provided some vintage photos and video for the special. So anyway, so check it out, and that's it.
Okay.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Dave. Yay.
I just wanted to remember Richie.
Great. Thank you, Dave. So, David Bartlett, so another Mr. Sci-Fi question. We're doing the live simulcast with the table and Mr. Sci-Fi on my YouTube channel.
Definitely. Kevin Scott 76 says, do either of you play a musical instrument? I'm a professional musician and teacher, just curious.
You play the guitar?
I used to play a little bit of guitar.
No, come on.
Chunk, plunk, plunk, chunk. No, I just enough to, a little bit of guitar. I had a little, just enough
And
piano.
Yeah.
I just had enough piano. In the olden days, used to have to learn piano and some piano. And then I went to the guitar. I loved classical guitar, but I played, but it's been a few years since I picked it up. The calluses are all gone, but I did love playing the guitar. Yeah.
Well, you have time to pick it up again. And I don't play any instrument, but that's probably just as well. So so let's see. I guess Savvy J, if you want to take your turn, and
You play a different kind of keyboard.
Indeed. So go for it. Hello, so Savvy J, if you want to introduce yourself and talk about what you're up to.
Awesome. Yes. Am I audible? Yes.
Yes.
I am.
Yeah.
Hi. So I'm Savvy. I'm originally from LA, and then I lived in New York for 5 years. I went to NYU Tisch, which is awesome.
Cool.
I am currently back in LA. I've been working at America's Funniest Home Videos for about 2 years now for their Facebook team doing digital editing, which is super fun. So basically, I want to, for now, and in the future, like expand what I'm editing. So I haven't edited narrative in a long time. I don't have like a ton of experience with it, but what I have done, I've really enjoyed and I'm good at. And also because of the pandemic, getting on set is harder, but I miss being on set. I love production assistants and the camera, sound not as much, but I can do it. And then of course, eventually I'd like to write and direct my own stuff. And I like stand-up, which again, I haven't done in a while because you can't.
Right.
But yeah, so
Okay.
I like everything. I'm one of those.
Cool.
So just a question, quick question. What does the eventually mean? I mean, why eventually do you want
Rather
to-
than now,
rather than like starting now?
soonish.
It's not eventually like, oh, I'll get to it, but more of building up to it, if that makes sense.
And is there a kind of material you'd want to direct?
Yeah, absolutely. I love comedy stuff, but really offbeat comedy. For an example, one of the things I did with school is I had a sketch where a woman waterboarded her son with milk while dressed as a milk carton. So I like weird stuff. And I did a short film that was stop motion as well, but all like above 2D stop motion drawing.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I like quirky things and weird things and high concept, which unfortunately is expensive, but still. I'm working on a whole friend of mine right now, and that's been really fun. So yeah, I like the weird.
Cool.
That's great.
That's great. Well, now the table has an email thing where you can are you on the table email? Do you know about that, or do you know anything about?
I do not. David invited me, and I was just like,
Oh, good.
Sounds great.
Okay, that's great.
So
Dogs.
I'm not on yet.
Doug. So yeah, well, so the table has been going for 30 years or so, or 28 years. There's thousands of members. There's offshoots all across the country and around the world, and we were, meeting in person every week at Marie Callender's in the Valley until the pandemic reared its ugly head. But we do have an email list where you can send one email out and it goes out to all several thousand members, and you can have post requests, or people will post their requests. It's really a wonderful tool. And, and absolutely in terms of getting on set and all of that stuff, we're ramping up to shoot more of Space Command at our studio. David can tell you about that, David Bartlett. And that's about it. So anything else you need?
Just projects to collaborate on, I guess.
Cool.
And people. I like people.
That's good. Well, you'll meet a lot of them via this group. And, there's a lot of the whole philosophy behind the table is supportiveness, mutual, goodness of heart, and it's just, Elaine and I created it 28 years ago to be a sort of the Hollywood we would want to be part of. And so that's, that wasn't toxic or insane much. So
Can I chime in some totally worthless trivia?
I don't know, Dave, go for it.
So Savvy J, Jaye, when I was starting in stand-up, my middle name is Jay. So
Same.
Yeah.
I added an, yes, there we go. So I added an E to it. So Davejaye before I picked up Dave Edison, which was kind of a character name that stuck because my act dealt in technology a lot. But so if anybody ever said, are you related to a comedian named Dave Edison? I mean, named Dave J. Or if they
You can say
really
yes.
knew him in the old days,
Yeah.
a comedian named the late Dave J. You'll say, no, but I've heard of him.
Yeah. And again, Dave had to change his name because Schicklgruber just didn't seem appropriate. So,
Yeah, and the Witless Protection Program.
Yeah, exactly. So great. Yay, 3 cheers. So welcome. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Indeed. Scott Gamble says, he said things are moving forward with Space Command episode 2. Any ETA on the actual release? What's left to do?
We're finishing up the visual effects, and then we just have to do music, color, correction, sound design, final tweaks. So we're looking at a couple of months, not long from now. Our plan is to release the first 2 hours of the pilot, both, as digital downloads, as Blu-rays with tons of extras that David and I have been pulling together. And so not far from now, not long from now, we can see the end of the tunnel. And so it's going along well. It's going along really well.
When we're together, just point me in that direction. So tell me what the end of that tunnel is.
Now, yes, I will. Now, also, there's 6 hours of Space Command content that we've pulled together. So there's the half hour audio play prequel with our entire cast, which is also being done as a graphic novel, which Dave is combining into an animatic. There's Hour 1, which you can watch in its entirety on Mr. Sci-Fi. Or buy as a download. There's Hour 2, which is what we're finishing now. Hour 3, which we've shot and it's in post. Hour 4, which we've started to shoot. And then the 2-hour special pandemic episode, and my short story Grizzled Space Jockey, which I read on Mr. Sci-Fi, and the novel that Maya Bonhoff has written. So there's a ton of Space Command stuff, and so there's lots to entertain you. So that's the answer to that, huh? Dave, were you going to add something? You look like you were going to.
No, just that's astonishing when you think about it. 6 hours, jeez.
Yes. And we're going to be coming out with the second issue of the comic very, very soon, because Tahani's finished. It's a special Mira Furlan issue. Tahani has finished the artwork, which is terrific, and she's just going to be doing the cover, and then we'll be ready to print them up and sell them. So that'll be.
And that section of the animatic is just about done.
Yeah, you've been doing a great job, Dave. So
it was cool.
Very cool. Yay! 3 cheers.
Mark,
yes.
Speaking of Tahani, she's on the chat tonight.
Oh, good. That's good. How wonderful. That's great. I hope she joins us visually. So great.
She was saying nice things.
Yes. So next on my screen is Erin Dooley, it says. So if you want to introduce yourself and go from there. Oh, David. I'm sorry, David. Oh, Erin. There we go. I see. I was getting mixed messages.
Oh, yes.
Go for it, Erin. Go.
My Zoom taxes my internet, so if I lag, that is why.
That's okay.
But I am a writer and producer. Try to focus more on the writing, but I have produced some feature films and web series and shorts films and things. So I recently had released a 3-episode series on forgiveness. I think I emailed out to the group, and then I did an animation short film that I released. So just trying to figure out my next project. I see if anybody wants to collaborate, because I've got a couple of different shorts that.
Oh, great!
If anybody wants to cut their teeth as a director or anything like that, have those available. And just trying to keep connected with people.
Great.
And yeah.
So and by the way, we just need to make sure everyone mutes their mic that isn't speaking, just so we don't get crosstalk. You mentioned you want to be writing more. Do you have any questions? Anything you need?
No, just trying to focus more on the writing. I do have a short that would work for like branded content for a brewery.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured as they're starting to open up more, so if anybody happens to know anybody that owns any breweries in the area, I've reached out to a few, but and not having that personal connection, I don't really hear back. But it's just a short little comedy, and I thought it would be fun for video content as they announced, once things start opening more fully back up again.
Mm-hmm.
So just throwing that out there in case anybody knows anybody at a brewery.
Well, this is also something that if you're on the table email, you could send an email out with that request, and I'm sure there would be people who would respond, because again, you never know who knows somebody, and
Right.
So that's what I would recommend. Anything else you need?
I'm just waiting to hear back on a couple of contests and things, so that's just kind of where my brain has been at recently with some of my projects. So
how have your projects how have your projects fared? Have you gotten notice, or what kind of have they gotten out there very far? Have you gotten any response because you've been working as a producer? Is there anything you can brag about that helps gather people?
I have a feature documentary that's been like the biggest thing that I've done, because I tour with it, and I used to tour with it and give talks, so I've gotten some more known within the documentary space, and with the contest for my scripts, it's been a new script that I put out there, so I'm seeing how far that one goes. So that's just something new that I haven't. I'll see how that one does.
Okay. Well, it's great that you're completing things, but the more you can boast, the more you draw people. So, and excitement. So we often advertise ourselves in rather a bland, neutral way.
Yeah.
It's a problem for most people. So if you can like say anything that could, where people would say, I've got to work with her, that sounds pretty exciting. That's, there's some heat there. Just think it through, because that makes them, that really draws a much larger crowd.
Okay.
Well,
great.
thanks.
Well,
It's hard to sort of brag on myself. So
Yeah.
I understand.
That's fine. Cheers. Yay. So, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Indeed. Mark Lungo says, are there any
Hello.
properties you enjoy that you want to reboot that are not, in quotes, science fiction?
There's a project that Elaine wanted to acquire, the Under Pressure, which is about a submarine disaster, which is really it's based on a true story, but we won't go into too much detail on that at this point. But for myself, there's really, not really. I mean, it's like science fiction, horror, fantasy particularly are sort of my wheelhouse. And so there's a situation where I've looked at a novel or some old movie and said, oh, gee, I'd really like to do, the Angels with Dirty Faces or whatever, or with what is it? With 6 you get egg roll, whatever the hell the name of that movie was. It's
I remember that movie.
yeah, well, sure, of course, it's a classic, but so
Right up there with Boing Boing.
yeah, exactly. Or Zots is a great movie, but it's got you can't do better than that because Tom
Robin
Poston.
and the Seven Little Hoods. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really mediocre films if you go searching, but no, I mean there's some science fiction titles I wouldn't mind remaking, but nothing mainstream. No, is there anything else you want to?
Well, I don't do science fiction.
No,
Most of my stuff-
but Mark's question is non-science fiction, sweetie.
Well, that's the point. I mean, I have not as reboots, but
Yeah,
my own
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So that's the answer. So let's see. So now David Hall, I guess you're next on our screen.
Great. Yeah. Hi, Mark and Elaine. Hi, David and Dave and everybody. Good to see you all. So yeah, happy to be here. Happy to introduce my friend Savvy to the group. She's a really talented filmmaker, a hilarious comedian. I think she'd be a great addition to the community here.
Great.
Yay.
Thanks.
So I wanted to, I guess, first take the opportunity to plug my show, because I hope this isn't the only time in my life I can say I have a TV show on the air, just in case it is.
Mhm.
I do. It's airing on channel 840 of Pluto TV.
Wow.
Which is, so it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains. So I wrote a dubbed episodes for that. It's the newest addition to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. I'm very excited. Fridays at 6.
Cool.
So, if everyone could stream Pluto TV, it would really help the the ratings.
Sure, but that's also something you can put out to the table email, and you'll get a lot of response. So that's neat. So go ahead.
Thanks.
But go ahead. What else?
So I'm continuing my writing career, working on writing pilots and features and everything. I don't know if there's anything I specifically need at the moment. I'm just happy to be here and reconnecting with the community.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, great to see you. Good to see you, David. So,
As well.
so David, David Bartlett, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
That's really wild. The whole chain here. You have to hear the whole thing. It's a few people. So it starts off with Bud Chamberlain. Mark, I noticed that Logan's Run debuted this day, March 4th, 1977, 44 years ago. I remember 13-year-old me watching eagerly for Farrah Fawcett's appearance. I love Logan's Run, but did everyone else think Peter Ustinov was weird in that, or was it just me? Then Galinda B says, I love that one and loves Ustinov for the weirdness. Then Scott Baker says, Ustinov was weird in everything. And Scott Gamble says, I am one of the guys and gals that found Peter Ustinov very entertaining in Logan's Run. I guess I don't see the weirdness that everyone else experienced with it. Galinda B says, I'm told I'm weird, but I'm quite normal for Galinda. And then Scott says, I think very well of Peter Ustinov. I think he is wonderfully offbeat.
Okay, so to answer all of that, George Clayton Johnson, who co-wrote the novel Logan's Run, on which the movie is based, was a friend of mine. He was a great writer for the Twilight Zone and Star Trek. So when that movie came out, they had a huge billboard on the wall, on the outside wall of MGM in Culver City. And so we drove down, and his name was in letters this high. And so I took photos of him next to his name on that billboard. And so that was really
I heard that photo.
Yeah, that was really fun. And the problem with Ustinov, I like him in Quo Vadis. Not Quo Vadis, in Spartacus. He's great in Spartacus, he and Charles Laughton. But the problem generally with Peter Ustinov was he was all about affect. There's no inner life to the actor, to the characters he creates generally. So that's the problem. He also did A Storm in Summer, playing a Jewish old man in this special that Serling wrote. And Serling was not happy with his performance because it was exaggerated, whereas he had written it for someone like Sam Jaffe, who really was a Jewish old man. And Sam Jaffe, of course, appeared later in the pilot of Night Gallery and was spectacular in it. But as an old man in Logan's Run, he's embarrassing. In my opinion. I mean, if you love Peter Ustinov in that movie, that's fine, absolutely great. But I found him very, very fake and phony and surfacey. Just kind of, now of course Roscoe Lee Brown plays one of the weirdest robots in the history of film in that movie. It looks like a refrigerator, and it's I think the name of that robot is Box. And but it's still it's a Logan's Run is a mixture of really peculiar and really interesting, and really, I mean, Michael York and Jenny Agutter are great. The look of the Sandmen is great. The notion of people who die at 30 is great, when your palm flower turns black. I mean, there's a lot that's really good about that movie, and so it's definitely worth seeing if you've never seen it. And and it also is strongly influential on Cloud Atlas, so that's something to keep an eye out for. So anyway, that's some of it, but yeah, it's Ustinov by my lights is sort of one of the weaker parts of that film. So there you go. So okay, let's see who else. Judith, you're next on my screen. Go for it.
You're well lit. You're well centered. This is great.
Right. Now we just need you to unmute.
Unmute.
We can't hear you, but you are well lit.
There we go.
There you go. Yay.
I'm just going for a minute to fetch somebody. Come here.
Oh, look out. Okay.
Come here.
Let's see.
Come here.
This is going to be interesting.
It's harder to fetch.
Uh-oh.
Come here. Okay. He went to the vet today.
Oh, good.
Petco has a fabulous price.
Ah,
Here he is.
There he is.
He's almost 12 pounds.
Okay, he's not in the frame, Judith. There we go. Oh, there he is. He's cute.
Cutie.
He's almost 12 pounds.
Wow. Hey, what a cutie pie.
He has a Jewish mother. What can I tell you?
What a cutie.
But I'm having a good time with him. He's very funny. I don't want to go into specifics.
No.
But anyway, my name is Judith Smiley. I'm an actress, a singer, a voiceover, narrator. I love to do table reads.
Mhm.
I'm going to have a few. Now I have so many hats on, guys, because now that I don't, oh, by the way, I got my vaccine yesterday.
Yay. Okay.
I'm still rocky from it. It knocked me off my socks. Now that I don't have to spend time on the computer looking for a dog, looking for a vaccine, I have a gazillion hats on that I have to do.
Great.
I'm really looking into voodoo for Half Dead. I went to a voodoo ceremony, a real one, in Haiti.
Wow.
Oh, I have a Haitian story. I don't want to take up the. I have a Haitian story. We were driving between Cap Haitian and Port-au-Prince, and we did not know that the highway had just opened, and Tuesday was voodoo night.
Well,
and all of a sudden there were no lights, and all of a sudden we're surrounded by all these men in feathers yelling blanc, blanc, blanc. They'd never seen white people before, because there was no way of getting from one end of the island. It's a 5-hour drive to the other. And on one side we had a Tonton Macoute, and on the other side we had another Tonton Macoute, both with loaded Uzis with the safety off.
Well, there you go.
That was really fun. I started to laugh because I speak fluent French, and the French Canadian is very similar to Creole.
Yes.
So I got invited to a real voodoo ceremony, which was fascinating. So I'm working on Half Dead. As I said, I'm an actress. I do table reads. I'm going to have a table read soon. I found some new stuff, because I wasn't happy with Apocalyptic. So I'm redoing that.
Okay.
Half Dead, My Little Pet, I'm redoing. I might do it as a book. I'm working on my book demo. I'm just timing it, all the pieces, and I'm going to record it this week and then send it to Nina's husband, who has a recording studio, and he'll edit it for me. So that should be done fairly soon.
Great.
Let's see. I'm working also on my animation demo. I have, you know, a number of voices in my head, and I'd like to get back into dubbing. I did the whole, what was that, the Billy Crystal Demi Moore movie?
Yes.
I did a half an hour. I dubbed that both in English and in French.
Wow.
I did a whole half hour without a break. Just went right through.
Wow.
I used to do a lot of dubbing work. Let's see, what else?
Oh, sorry.
I'm working on Sebastian and Josie, and oh yes, Sudden Death. That's my true story. And let's see. Like I said, I'm now that I don't have to spend time on the computer, I'm fine. You know, I have enough time to do everything. I have the dog, I have the shots.
Great.
I'm okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's about it.
Okay. Great.
That's all, folks.
Yay. Good, Judith.
Great.
Good job. Great dog.
Thank you.
So,
Getting there.
so another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Yes. Bob Rich says, hi, Mark and Elaine. In TV, cinema, and literature, what are your favorite examples of work that was groundbreaking, that changed the medium and showed new exciting possibilities that no one had imagined?
So wait, is this in cinema? What are the other categories, David?
TV, cinema, and literature.
That's a big question. In fact, you might want to watch Mr. Sci-Fi, and I cover it in several hundred videos. I mean, 2001 was a game changer, of course. A Space Odyssey, Twilight Zone was a game changer. No two ways about it. Star Trek absolutely was.
Citizen Kane.
Well, yeah, Citizen Kane, if you want to step outside the genre, you know. And beyond that, novels. Let's see, what novels would there be?
It does not say sci-fi in this question.
Okay, well then Citizen Kane, of course, you know. And Judith, remember to mute your mic, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
It just cracks me up.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true of dogs. And the anyway, but game changers. Anything you want to mention? Books, TV, or literature?
There have been a number. I think something that you see where they copy it is Night of the Hunter,
which is the one film directed by Charles Laughton, the brilliant actor. It's a terrific movie if you've never seen it. There's really nothing quite like it. When the Coen brothers did their version of True Grit, they were riffing off of that movie a lot, and but it's spectacular. And there's an extra on that disc where you can see Charles Laughton directing the entire movie, and it's just amazing,
Sometimes you can tell game changers by how many people copy it.
Yes. Sadly, the movie was not a financial success, and as a result, Charles Laughton never directed another movie, which is really a shame because he was really one of the greats. And but you know, that's the way it goes. So let's see. So I guess Stephen Galber, you're next. If you want to take your turn, are you?
Hi, Stephen.
Stephen, can you hear us? No,
Stephen?
I think he's otherwise engaged. So Casey, would you like to take your turn? Casey? Hi, Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey Corbiere. I'm currently in Dallas now.
Great.
And loving this Zoom meeting you guys are doing now that I actually get to see you.
Yes.
I've
Thanks.
been a table member for a few years.
Great.
And I'm currently just editing and trying to produce a reality show or a documentary television, to be precise. And where I'm reviewing movies on my website.
Oh, cool.
So, and I make horror movies and documentaries about horror movies, special features, and electronic press kit.
Cool.
So that's what I'm doing right now.
So is there anything you need, or do you have any questions?
Well, I sort of have a Mr. Sci-Fi question. I'll get to that.
Okay, that's fine. Go for it.
And because I'm currently I'm writing a short film, and it's loosely based on one of my favorite episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Mm-hmm.
The Shelter.
Sure, of course.
Which in your book you seem not to like. I was wondering why.
I think I'm just not. It's funny. My feeling about, for those who don't know, I wrote the Twilight Zone Companion, and I've produced all of the home video versions of the Twilight Zone to date, including the Blu-ray. And The Shelter just never quite appealed to me, and it's not for any specific reason. And again, with all the Twilight Zone episodes, if there's one that I don't like, I get letters every now and then or emails from people who like those specific episodes that I didn't particularly like. But sometimes, when I watch them again, I like them just fine. My opinions change, and I certainly don't mind anyone else having a different opinion, particularly if they love something that didn't resonate with me. But I think, and many of the Twilight Zones work very well as one-act plays, and that's one of the ones that would. The basic notion is that there's an air raid where it looks like a nuclear attack is imminent, and some people get into their shelter and they don't want to let other people in, and things kind of disintegrate. It's sort of like another riff on Monsters That Do on Maple Street, which Serling also wrote. It's fine, but so it's just it's just one of the ones that I was like, oh, okay, that's okay. Maybe because it's just kind of like it goes from A to B to C without surprising me, whereas other ones are just so astonishing, like, To Serve Man or Eye of the Beholder, or but every Twilight Zone has something to recommend it. I mean, even the ones that are really, really weird, like Come Wander With Me, you can always find things that are really interesting in them and distinctive. I mean, it's an amazing show. So So anything else?
Just when anyone wants press kit or anything, I do love to travel as soon as the world opens back up. So
cool. Okay, great. Yay! 3 cheers, Casey. So do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question from the Mr. Sci-Fi audience?
I do, and I also have a picture of George Clayton Johnson.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Great.
See if you can get this to work.
Good luck. Uh-oh, look out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Though, yeah, there we go. Now you can see that he's standing by his own name. That's the billboard. That's one of the pictures I took of George. But there's others that are better than that one because his hair is in his face. But great. Terrific. So what's the Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Right. Give me a second here.
Okay.
So I have a request from someone.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sci-Fi Nation says, off topic and not expecting an immediate answer or yes, with Mr. Zicree, you'd like to be on my small little channel sometimes to talk of all things Space Connect.
Sure, that'd be fine. David, you should reach out to David, and David can coordinate with Angelique, and we can schedule that. Simply because I'm, I'm
about to announce my email for the table emails anyway,
sure.
So you can reach me there.
Yeah. So great, terrific, and but absolutely. So now, Stephen, are you listening? Do you want to take your turn?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you guys. It was especially great talking to Dave Hale. I really felt motivated after talking to David about hearing his networking, especially since I'm writing a script. I look forward to sending it to you when it's properly formatted for your suggestions, and hopefully I could get some coaching and I could give you guys a donation to help me.
Okay, cool. That's great. So anything else you need?
Not yet.
Okay, well, great. Good to see you. 3 cheers. Yay. So short and sweet. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David?
Yeah, I have 2 things here that are fun. Bob Rich says, oddly, my grandfather was the payroll accountant for Night of the Hunter.
Whoa.
That's interesting.
That is
well, great. Well, if he has the figurine of the Shelley Winter that was used in the underwater scene, bring it over. We'd love that. So, but great. That's really cool, Bob. That's very interesting. So, okay, cool.
I have another one if you
want.
Yes,
sure. Yeah, no, go for it.
Do another one. Hayes 494 says, have you read any of David Weber novels? Would you be interested in turning any of them into films or TV shows?
I had lunch with David Weber a while ago. Nice guy. I haven't read his books though. You know, it's kind of like it's you know, just rather busy lately. But he's, you know, I probably should read his works. I mean, at this point, I'm really not in the position to be optioning people's work. You know, it would be fairly. I don't know. It's possible for the future, but not right now. So I guess David Bartlett, I guess it's your turn.
Okay.
Go for it.
David Bartlett. I am, excuse me, a filmmaker, a teacher, and a human rights activist, and a producer of Space Command.
Yay!
Also running all sorts of areas right now. I'm producing the visual effects. I am also in charge of casting, and we're right on the corner from a sister of Space Command, part of the showrunners network called Sweethaven, which we're going to have a table meet up, and that's very exciting. But as far as myself goes, I'll get to Space Command in a minute. I started making films when I was 10. I moved to LA in 1980 and started working pretty much right away. And I was doing some very large films as an intern, and then I worked on some very low budget films as a set carpenter and a visual effects assistant, and several other things, some editing, some sound. And I started working on some studio films, doing sound, and I worked on Pulp Fiction and Total Recall and Predator 2 and Tremors. And
what did you do for Pulp Fiction, David?
I was a sound effects editor on Pulp Fiction.
That movie definitely deserves a star rating.
I'm responsible for all the gun cocking in the trunk of the car, and Harvey Keitel's car sound, and also all the choppers. I did Zed's chopper and all of the other Harleys in the show, among other things. And the Jack Rabbit Slim's sequence, I did that too. In fact, I was going to tell a story about James Cameron, but I can tell a story about Quentin also. They're both short stories. So then I started working on my own films and started producing films for other people. And now I've gotten over 64 film festival awards, and I'm now a judge. Been a judge at the Houston Festival for 9 years. I'm judge at Burbank now this year too. So I've sort of come full circle from the big budget films to the small and back.
Cool.
And now Space Command.
Yay!
So that's kind of my career. So I told a story once at Marie Callender's about James Cameron, but I haven't told it here yet. I was the set carpenter on a film at New World Pictures when his name was Jim, and he was the production designer. He was engaged to a very nice, very energetic woman named Gail Ann Hurd, and the two of them later, of course, made Terminator. But they were making Galaxy of Terror at that time, and I was ready to, when you have a piece of wood and a nail, you can put the nail on the wood and you tap it in with a hammer and get it started, and then you can put the wood up where it belongs and then really pound it in. So I was starting a piece of a nail and a piece of wood, and I was using my leg, bending down like this to start it with, and I got a little too energetic just as Jim stepped up, and he's very tall, and I hit the nail a little too hard, and it went into the bone of my leg. So then I had to stop, and I had to take the hammer and pop it off my leg, and I held it up and looked at him like this, and he just went and turned and left. I never heard what he was going to say. So that's my Jim Cameron story.
Yeah, it's heartwarming.
I have a few others, but that's the small one.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, what was the other one I was about to say?
Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, the Quentin Tarantino story, the Pulp Fiction story. So the story about Harvey Keitel's car and the chopper of Zed's chopper. And the reason it's a chopper, my father used to build custom motorcycles. And you take the frame of a motorcycle that goes down to the wheel, and you actually cut it, and you bend it out, and you put a little triangle wedge in there and weld it back in, and it's called chopping the frame. So the front wheel sticks out part of the normal, like the movie Easy Riders, for example. Those guys are both riding choppers. So that's why he corrects the person and said it's not a bike, it's a chopper. So in those days, and still now, many times they'll take vehicles, we'll put motors together with animal sounds. So it makes the motors feel a little bit organic, like they're live. You don't blend it in enough to where you can hear it or make it stand out very much, typically, but you blend it in. So the Zed's chopper has a pit bull growling for the idling, and some lawnmowers for the revs, and a woman screaming when they peel out, the tire screaming with the woman screaming with it. And then the Harvey Keitel's car has a Porsche turbo that's processed in a special way, and a jet turbine reversed. So when it comes up to the picture and stops, it goes, and right when it stops, when the car shuts off, I added in the sound of a camel bellow. So it goes, So if you listen really closely, you can hear these sounds now. They'll never see the film the same way again.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
So that's my Pulp Fiction contribution.
Cool.
So that's kind of my career up to date.
Mhm.
Here I am at Space Command. Space Command has studios. It has sets being built. It has things that are about to be shot right around the corner as soon as COVID loosens up, which is going to be soon, I think.
Yes.
Next 2 or 3 months, we'll be able to shoot something without the restrictions and whatever, and we'll be ready for that.
Great.
We're also doing a ton of visual effects. I did 160 color correction shots today alone for visual effects. And we had a great meeting with Christian. I'll tell you about it too, Mark, when I have a chance.
Great.
And the things he's working on. I think there's a new shot that he and I came up with that I think will solve a problem inside the thruster sequence.
Good.
That's going to be really dynamic. So I'll tell you about that.
Great.
So now, what about you people who might want to work on Space Command?
Yay.
There's an opportunity for that. You can volunteer. You can also get paid. I have both positions right now. Volunteers come and they have a good time, especially if you want to be an actor in Space Command. People ask this all the time. How can I be an actor in Space Command? I say, it's very simple. You come and volunteer, Mark and Elaine see you around enough, and they'll write a scene for you. That has happened off the top of my head about 6 or 7 times.
Many a time, yes.
Many a time. Judith got written into the scene because she happened to be sitting next to Mark when he was writing during the table once. So that can happen to you. And people say, yeah, but how can I be in Space Command? I'm not kidding. That's the best way to do it.
Great.
So we're grateful to have people volunteer, and we like to help people back in return.
Right. And if anyone wants to see the first hour of Space Command, just go to my Mr. Sci-Fi YouTube channel, and it's right there on the landing page. You can see the first hour. It's got many science fiction stars, and we're all very proud of it, those of us who've been working on it.
Excuse me, I will be back shortly. I have a very impatient
She's walking the dogs.
terrier. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you in a minute. Bye, love.
Bye.
Thanks. So, okay, cool.
Now, to reach me, I will tell you in a second, but I'll go into the next part of my little spiel, which is the table email. If you want to be on the table email and you're not, or you're having troubles with the table email, you can reach out to me and I'll help you do both. If you want to join the table email for the first time, you have to have your an email address that has your first and last name in it with no special little codes, no Moogie Pie 22 or whatever, nothing cute. It has to have your first and last name. It can have numbers and symbols, but that has to be there. Plus, it can't be Yahoo. I don't know if anyone even can do Yahoo anymore, but it doesn't work with us for some reason. So you can put that Gmail, first piece of cake. So get that ready. Send it to me at davefilms@hotmail.com. DAVEFILMS@hotmail.com. I got behind a couple of weeks for people that have sent things in. So if you're calling and saying, well, where the hell is my table email? I'm going to take care of this stuff hopefully tomorrow, Monday. So let me know. We can take care of it that way. So if you want to volunteer work on Space Command, if you want to get on the table email or fix a problem that you're having, that's how to reach me. I'm also going to type it into the chat here if I get a chance, because I'm also falling behind on my my Mr. Sci-Fi questions, because I'm taking the place of Adam tonight. Adam just announced that he's having his rap party right now. He's out of town shooting a good-sized part in Colorado, I believe.
Great.
So, yeah, so it's pretty cool. So shout out to Adam, and thanks for the heads up on the rap party, and hope you have a good time.
Cool.
And that's it.
Yay, 3 cheers. So, David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah, the Peter Ustinov keeps coming up. This Scott Baker says that the Peter Ustinov did a commercial for Omni Magazine in the early 80s, and that got him started reading Omni Magazine.
Well, there you go. That's probably available on YouTube.
Right. Now, what's about this here? Yolanda B. at Sci-Fi Nation says, I recently discovered Tales of Tomorrow.
Yes.
Ring a bell at all?
Yes, it was a 1950s live TV science fiction anthology show that predated Twilight Zone. It's an interesting show, very rough around the edges, very rudimentary, but it has some very interesting actors in it, very interesting storylines. My friend Ted Sturgeon, Theodore Sturgeon, wrote for that show. It's not bad. It's just not great, but definitely, and you can probably watch all of them on YouTube one way or another. It's worth checking out, but it's just it's a little odd. You kind of have to meet it where it's coming from, because in the 1950s, everyone was sort of figuring out what television would be, and it started out almost like sort of like a no-budget theatrical presentation with painted backdrops, and became much more sophisticated by the end of that decade. But then they realized that if you film stuff rather than airing it live, then you can rerun it, and that gives you more money. And so so ultimately television stopped doing live TV, except for like local channels with, like, you know, Ben Hunter or some of those people, you know, daytime TV. But yeah, but it was a fun show. I mean, it's funny because a form that largely has faded away, you see it every now and then, is the half-hour anthology show. And there were a ton of them in the 50s on television. And Rod Serling sort of cut his teeth on those, whether it was Lux Video Theater or Kraft Theater or you name it. I mean, there were a million of them. And so that's, you know, and the cool part is that the kinescopes of those live TV broadcasts are now living, most of them, many of them, on YouTube. So you can basically, I mean, YouTube is my favorite channel because you can find amazing rarities there for free. And so it's definitely worth searching for those things. You can find them. And of course, Space Patrol, which is a show that I love, was a very popular TV show back in the 50s, and very influential on Space Command for various reasons. So there you go. So now I see that that a number of people have joined us, including Mark Gushwitz. So Mark, do you want to take your turn?
Wow, so soon. Not used to coming on and being almost immediate.
Yeah,
so,
if you'd come 10 minutes later, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, when I came on, there were actually a lot less people. It looks like a lot of people have joined on after me.
Yeah.
So hi everyone. My name is Mark. I'm an editor. Last couple of weeks I've been pretty dry in work, but this week a couple of small projects came my way, so I've got a little bit of work happening, which is good. Just some, I guess what's been going on with everything I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks. Short film's almost done, waiting for Earl, who we can just see his shirt right now, to send me the next go round on the sound. But we've had some really, really great conversations since the last one. So I think when he sends it to me, I'm going to hear something really good. Also, he's redoing the music a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to that. I can totally see the end of the road for this. So now I've got to start thinking about what's going to be next. I've been, as I've said over the last couple of weeks, I've been working on a website/podcast to celebrate unseen, underseen, misunderstood movies that should be revisited. I've now got a list of a ton of people that I might be able to have on the podcast, which is pretty exciting because there are actually some pretty exciting guests, including some people that I've actually looked up to for a long time, people that I've always admired, which always makes it a little bit more special. I have agreed to start doing a monthly article on a website called Skywalking Through Neverland, soon to be called the Skywalking Network. The first one's going to be all on the Muppets. But after that, I'm going to be scouring the Disney Plus channel for all the lesser known films that I love to write about those. So it kind of is very much on par with my website.
Cool.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm still looking for a name on my podcast, but I got tons of people sending me suggestions. The latest one that I've been considering is called Here's Looking at Film. Thought it was kind of an interesting twist on Here's Looking at You. And that seems to be getting a pretty positive response from a lot of people, and that came from somebody in my writers group. So things are moving along. I wish a little bit more money was coming in, but I'm kind of excited about my website and podcast.
Cool.
It's going slower than I wanted to, but it's chugging along, and I can definitely see that the start date on that as well. By that I mean, uploading the website where that's going to be is not that far from now.
Wow.
So I'm getting excited about all this stuff.
Well, great. So anything you need?
Not really. I mean, if anybody knows anyone who needs an editor, I'm available.
Great.
But other than that, I mean, I could probably give more at this point than I need.
Now,
everything's kind of falling into place.
Now, also, Mark, I don't know if you know, but the because of the pandemic, Jeff Bryan now allows you to put out on the standard table email the fact that you're looking for gigs. So it might behoove you to just Yeah, so it might behoove you on the regular table email just to put out things saying, longtime member Mark Gushwitz, I'm a professional editor. If anyone wants to hire me for gigs, long or short, contact me at blah, 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 and that'll be fine.
Well, I was also thinking about, because I think you said we could have done this anyway, is just kind of putting out there that check out my
Yes.
website, which
Yes.
is not a lot of my work.
Yes.
Because I think this might have been in the way of me getting work too, is I don't visit my website very much because I already know what's there.
Yes.
But I went and visited. It was running really slow, and I called the hosting company, and they were blaming it on me and everything. So I actually had it transferred over to the hosting company that's going to host my podcast, and now it's zooming fast.
Good.
And so I'm wondering if, because my website was really slow, people were just like looking at it and going,
Right.
"Oh, we got looking at stuff." So I'm hoping the fact that I've actually got it on a relatively fast site will help out on that.
Yes.
And maybe I should put, it's just my lastname.com. So if you look up there underneath my name, you'll see my last name. So Gushwitz.com. And it's basically my website with a lot of samples of work I've done. If anybody here wants to check on it, but maybe I should go ahead and just reintroduce myself kind of.
Great.
With that.
And that's also, by the way, a good tip for everyone. Many of us have websites, but we don't check them regularly, and many of them over time get a little glitchy and funky. And you have no idea how many people have sent me links to their work where I try and load it and it doesn't load, and you just say, "Well, hell with it. I don't have time for this." So I particularly dislike Vimeo for that reason. When I click on YouTube, bang, it plays it. When I click on Vimeo, it's just like buffering. It's just, and so just make sure that everything on your website is functional and all the links still work.
Yeah,
So.
I learned a lot with this because I put all my stuff on YouTube as well instead of Vimeo, and then I embed the code in my website.
Great.
And with Vimeo, the volume also seemed to be all over the place between videos, whereas YouTube keeps it more consistent. So if you go from one video to the next, you're not playing with your speakers.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if that was kind of slowing me down as people were. So I'll keep an eye on my website a lot more closely now.
Yes.
I was always under the impression, well, I know it's there. What do I need to look at it for?
Right.
And now I know.
Yes.
But I got a pretty good website up there. It's pretty simple to navigate through. So I'll put a posting up on the table email about it. And who knows?
Great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Good job. So, David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah, there's one that's actually kind of directed towards me. We can both.
Look out.
The big chap says, "Is it wrong that I'm more impressed by Predator 2 credit than Pulp Fiction?" I would say you're not wrong, because as great a film as Pulp Fiction is, it's not really necessarily a sound film per se. Although there are fun things in it, like when John Travolta's washing the blood off his hands in the sink, I put some oil sizzling sounds, and when he puts his hands in the water, so it goes to make it really pop and make it sound more vivacious. Those are sort of normal things you would do to do good sound editing. Predator 2, I edited the entire first 10 minutes of Predator 2, which is a massive assault on the Predator's invasion of a building that's got a drug bust. It's got dozens of people and machine guns and cars, and it's like a huge thing. I had a lot to do with the different areas of that film too. They were very involved and very challenging. Plus, we worked with Joel Silver. The difference between Joel Silver and Quentin Tarantino is vast. So just to survive a Joel Silver film, and I've survived 2 of them, is worthwhile mentioning on its own. But as far as the work goes and the sound editing aspect of it goes, Predator 2 is an excellent sound job that I was happy to be a part of. And Pulp Fiction is not really a sound film per se. So, but we still had fun doing design things in Pulp Fiction. You just can't really notice them as much.
Cool.
We got, I think, 11 Oscar nominations in sound and sound editing. We're not 2 of them, which is interesting.
Wow. Huh.
So,
wow. Well, that's great. That's great. So, and one thing I can respond to that a little bit, which is, first of all, I love the fact that there's so many different kinds of movies, and there are movies that are, someone will say that's their favorite movie, and you'll go, "What? That's your favorite movie?" And yet, like as Mark Gushwitz mentions, there's so many gems that you come across that you've never watched. I mean, I recently watched again, after many decades of not having seen it, Demolition Man, and I found it to be really entertaining and really fun. And so you know, there's a lot of great stuff particularly the films of the 70s through the 90s, before it became all CG. That era of action films and science fiction films, there's so many really just entertaining movies, you know, where it's like, okay, this may not be a great film, but it's certainly a fun film. And there's just a ton of those. There's something about practicals, practical effects, and miniatures and all of that stuff that just holds up better than all these movies that are just CG from first frame to last, where it just looks fake. It doesn't have solidity. It doesn't have weight. There's also a great documentary on all those guys who made miniatures, like the Skotak brothers. I think it's called A Sense of Scale, and you can probably even find it on YouTube now, but it's just wonderful because it shows how they made, you know, Independence Day and all these other films, Aliens, that had this just great miniature work. So yeah, absolutely.
Do you find, since you're Mr. Sci-Fi and all the special effects, do you find, at least when I watch these movies and I see all these effects, the magic is gone now? Because now I just know it's a guy behind a computer. Whereas when it used to be practical effects and you saw something, you'd be like, wow, how did they do that?
Right.
Now I feel like that magic is gone because I know how they did it. A guy sat at a keyboard with a mouse.
Yeah. It's not so much that. I think even films now, there are ones that have just extraordinary inventiveness. I mean, Guillermo del Toro is certainly a master of that. Whether his films work or don't work, there's always things that are where you say, wow, that's just magical, you know. And I just think that so many mediocre directors now rely on really bad CG. And if the movie doesn't engage you emotionally, that's what's going to be the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb. So Earl, you're back. Let's do you, Earl. Go for it.
Hi, Earl F. Smith here, multi-award winning composer and sound editor, sound designer.
Cool.
I've had quite a crazy past few weeks. Has anyone heard of Anne?
I'm sorry?
Ann Thomas?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Has she been involved at all? I'm just curious. I think I'd like to connect. I just had a friend a few weeks ago who was identify with the LGBTQ community.
Sure.
Just commit suicide.
Oh no.
Yeah, real known him since he was in high school, so
wow.
Quite a long time. And very special soul. Great energy. And, that's a lot of times people that are hurting the most, you never know because they wear that smile so well.
Yeah. Yes.
That's my.
This is Ann you're talking about?
No, it was a friend. A friend of
a friend of mine.
Yeah,
Ann is such an advocate.
Yes.
In the community, and especially in telling stories.
Yes. Well, definitely.
Go ahead.
Well, definitely. I guess David, you can connect Earl up with Ann or whoever wants to do that. Dave, whomever. A lot of you have her contact information. Nathan certainly will. He's doing that documentary about her.
Nathan's really well connected with her. I actually edited the sizzle for that documentary.
Yeah, so
Nathan would be a good person to reach out to.
So yeah,
Ann's a personal friend, and she's worked with me on Space Command.
Great.
And I've worked with her for a
Great.
while.
Yeah, you can connect me.
Yeah, and
I've talked with her before. Yeah. But with the move, everything's everywhere, and be just more simpler.
Sure. But you're pointing up something really important, Earl, particularly this year with everyone so isolated. I mean, I think for all of us, it's incumbent on all of us to just go through our phone list on our phone and just call everyone we know who's dear to us. And first of all, check in on them, but also just let them know how important they are to us. We get out of the habit of praising people. And that's one of the reasons I created the table, so we could applaud each other's effort and feel visible, because it's just hard. And particularly for people, I mean, with racism becoming so prevalent and sexism and all manner of prejudice because of, we won't name names, we won't talk politics, but Jesus, we have to treasure all of the people in our lives, and let them know that they mean a lot to us, because we don't want to lose any more of them. So I'm sorry your friend killed himself. That's really terrible.
Yeah, and I do feel COVID had a huge role in that.
Yes.
Myself, I don't tend to put myself out there. I've accomplished a lot, but in my eyes, it's kind of so what? And I continue to move on. And people that has known me from high school, junior high, early on, they wow, and I try to bring them back down and say, look, all these celebrities are people, and if you treat them as people, they will treasure you.
Yes. And
so with him having certain musical talents that I didn't even know about till a year ago, and that's what's great about Facebook, because he was up in Oregon and showing me a little video playing the drums. I'm just like, wow. And he's like, well, I'm not that good. And I'm like, no, you are. You should start recording.
Yeah.
And so we were going to connect based on that, but because of the pandemic, that created more challenges.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think Mark Gushwitz, did I say it right?
Yes, you did. Close enough.
I think the film is coming along really well, and we had a great conversation last week. And I think a lot of composers, a lot of music creators have this sense of, well, I wrote it. It's mine. It's personal to me. It means so much. And Mark and I, we had a great conversation, and I explained to him, when you're dealing with someone who's seasoned, they don't view it that way, because what they do serves a purpose, and in that purpose being satisfied, and in an overall project doing well, then your purpose has then even elevated even more. And that's where the excitement should come. And the value, not the value, oh, well, you've created, because if what you've created doesn't serve the purpose, in my eyes, it's a failure. I've studied with Alf Klossman, the composer from The Simpsons, and he did a master class, and he talked about this too. And so I thought that was a really great, because what I did is I took portions of, I separated them all in as deliverables and gave it to him, some parts separate in the music, and let him play with it to find his vision within what I had created already. And then when he sent it back, it gave a whole new light for me as a composer. And I think a lot of young composers, they tend to cut themselves short from this, because you have someone who's a non-musician looking at music with a different ear, and you're going to hear something, see something you have no clue, no attachment to, as you're viewing it as a musician. And the more you know, the more you withdraw yourself from that. So that was I think Mark and I are building a very strong creative relationship, which is really cool. Which really comes from you, Mark, which you may mention to me. You need to find your team. And grow together as a team. And that's what I've been trying to build with Mark and this project and some of the sound design projects I've done with him in the past.
That's great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. 3. It's good to see you, Earl. And again, sorry for your loss. It's, I mean, we're all just here on, a wing and a prayer. So yeah. But it's good to have you here. So, Christine, it's another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David.
Indeed. Give me a second here.
You bet.
So we've got Ewell Adams says, are you looking for any child roles? Scott Baker adds, I think Mark should create alien roles for children, meet Zorp parts that let them show their acting skill, but under makeup and short-lived roles so their growth won't ruin the part.
Several things. In terms of children, yes, we are going to be having children aliens. upcoming, and
Faith
also
was a part of the film.
what? Yes, she was, and yes, your daughter.
Love.
And we're going to be having a number of things coming up. But the thing with children, of course, is if you have to be very careful in terms of the makeup and not have it be too unpleasant for them. But yeah, I mean, there's lots coming down the pike, which we'll reveal in the near future. So, Christine, I think it's your turn. Go for it.
Awesome! Yay! So I just posted my LinkedIn account because that's what I'm trying to focus on. People can get a hold of me. And I'm still open to work, and have had finally some people getting back to me. I think my favorite one is they called and they did a complete interview, and at the end of the interview, they're like, "Great, we love you. Right now, we're on lockdown, so we'll let you know." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yes.
So,
yeah.
In their office contracted COVID, and so they had to shut down until that passed. I keep hearing more and more about productions are getting back up and running or close to back up and running. That's exciting news as well. I keep growing my LinkedIn, which is my first social media, and I'm like, oh, look, and I definitely have watched my share of 1970s no computer graphic shows. And I definitely am feeling the loneliness, and Zooms are really not doing it. They just are not the same as being in person with someone.
Yes.
So that's been interesting.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be over soon. So.
But you're not alone, even in feeling lonely. I mean, so many people are struggling with those issues.
Yes.
And I think the more that you share, that it seems to just reach a lot of people. You keep hearing about it on the radio.
Yes.
About all of these new, people inventing ways to keep themselves sane.
Yes.
But it's epidemic. I mean, more than the bug.
But again,
but
again, remember, it's very important to be in communication with people and let them know what you're feeling, and not be. I mean, again, one thing about the table that I've always stressed is that this is not just an industry support group. This is a support group for all aspects of our life. So, when Jim Metropole had a stroke, Mike Lopez has moved in and is helping him, and we want people, when they're feeling bad, when they're feeling in crisis, to reach out to other members of the table and recognize that we're all in this human journey together, and so that's really important. So anything else you need at this point, Christine?
I'm just always really thankful for seeing the faces of people I know and hearing what's going on, and I'm very thankful always, because I feel like I have learned so much about so many different things from productions that I've been a part of. So
great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. 3 cheers. So, David, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Indeed, I have a little notice.
Uh-oh.
And a question. The notice is, W2 Digital Design says, I just got my Space Command t-shirt.
Yay.
I used to do screen printing for a living. These are so high quality in uppercase shirts, and some of the most beautiful silk screening ever uppercase, much more than the $20 value. Thank you.
Oh,
great. Yes, a testimonial. Yes,
Yeah.
we should put that on the site as a testimonial. That's great.
That's a great one.
Yes.
So I'm going to tag that one. Now we've also got Scott Baker back.
Hi, Scott.
With his DeMarco and Elaine, and I have to see how to say this.
Uh-oh.
Were there any sci-fi stories written with the intention of, quote, catching the conscience of the king or political leader, unquote, which have accomplished that Hamlet-esque task?
Yes. Nicholas Meyer wrote and directed The Day After, which was a terrific miniseries about a nuclear war. And Ronald Reagan, who was the president at the time, and Mikhail Gorbachev both watched it, and it was so realistic and so dismaying that they both decided that that must never happen, and it really aided the both of them in coming to the table and reaching agreement in terms of nuclear disarmament. So that was the case where it was that was a, when you say, can film or TV actually change the world in a significant way, that's definitely one piece of work that did. And so yeah, that's the one that immediately comes to mind. I mean, the other thing you have to be aware of is back in the days of 3 networks, pretty much everyone was watching everything. I saw LeVar Burton being interviewed on TV recently, and they were talking about Roots, which was not just his first acting role; it was his first audition ever. And that show, the original Roots, was seen by 100 million people, and it was broadcast 8 days in a row, the miniseries in each part. So so that had a huge effect. So there you go. So that's what I know. So so now I guess it's your turn, Elaine, huh? Yay, Elaine! I'll be right back.
Okay.
Guys,
no, nothing new. Just helping in the Space Command universe, and it gets extremely complicated putting together a production. Thank God for teams.
And Elaine?
Yes.
There's a question for you. What does Elaine's T-shirt say?
Oh, it says, "I sometimes wonder what happened to people who have asked
me for directions.
Who have asked me for directions." Yeah. So yeah, so that's me. The main thing is with David's help and Angelique, who's helping put a script up on LinkedIn to try and reach people, is to get some money together for a piece called The Voiceless Roar, which has to do with it's sort of apolitical because it has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. It just has to do with average Joes being mushed in this country, and it's called The Voiceless Roar because people learning their own value, that they're the bedrock of the country, and to speak back up where the power is supposed to come from bottom up, not top down, and sort of a reminder of what democracy is about.
Rudy,
so that's the main thing that I'm trying to now find alliances for and put together and get shot. And outside of that, it's all things Space Command. So I'll hand it on over to Mark.
Okay, yay! Cheers, Elaine. So, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David, before we go to Me, Wonderful Me?
Yeah, I could jump around to 4 different ones, and they're not very long each. You want to cover them all?
Sure, why not? Might as well.
Okay. So, UL Adam says, do you know of a sci-fi show or movie that is about a war between bioengineers and techno-engineers?
Not off the top of my head.
That would be good.
I mean, the closest you could come that I can think of is the latest Terminator movie, where it had a bioengineered human fighting all these, fighting a Terminator. That's the closest that comes to mind immediately. Now, Foundation is coming soon as a TV series, and that's about a psychohistorian who can basically look at psychological elements and predict the future of what's going to happen, with the Empire, with the But that's all that comes to mind at the moment. So okay,
are the Clone Wars type concepts in that area or not?
Not really. No. Nope.
Not really. Just clones fighting clones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laugh, clone, laugh.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Sci-Fi Nation says Mr. Zicree's all-time favorite sci-fi show or film that he did not work on.
That's interesting. Well, obviously, the original Twilight Zone would be, a big one. The original Star Trek, the original Outer Limits, those are all big for me. I mean, there's so many films and TV shows that I love that I didn't work on. I love The Abyss. Alien and Aliens. Just tons of stuff. Things to Come by H.G. Wells. There's just a lot of great stuff just in the genre. I think The Martian Chronicles and Fahrenheit 451 are great novels. I mean, it could go just on and on, and again, on Mr. Sci-Fi, I talk about a lot of this stuff. I'm very grateful that I've been allowed to work on things that I am very proud of, both in books and TV. And, I've really had a blessed life. And of course, having Elaine with me, that's the cherry on top, or that's the whole cake, and the career is a cherry on top. So, but okay, go ahead, David. And what's next?
Someone's asking about Elaine's book and how it's going.
Your book?
My book?
It's going great. Elaine, you're not writing a book right now unless you're doing it while I'm sleeping.
No, I just have a small pile of features in addition to the work that I'm doing on Space Command and a couple of other things.
Years ago, Elaine wrote a novel in which shadows come alive and menace people. It was called Shadows. And it should, you should dust off and publish it, and people would love it, and you'd get a movie deal, and I wouldn't have to keep doing Space Command, for God's sake.
No, but no, it's mostly films about people coming to their best selves.
Yeah, well, I'd rather see shadows coming alive, and that'd be great. So, but you might be thinking of the book that I'm writing. We were originally going to write it together, Greenlighting Yourself, but it got so tangled and so difficult for both of us. We had a lot of false starts. We'd been teaching forever, and I think we had so many syllabi and so many notes, it just got jangled. And finally I just said, look, it's a burden for both of us. Let me just take a swing at this thing.
Which was great.
So yeah, so I'm 2/3 of the way through the book. It'll be done in the next couple months. Greenlighting Yourself. It's going to be published by Silman James, who publishes the Twilight Zone Companion. It's coming along really well. And once I finish the manuscript, then we'll go from there. But that's what's going on with that. And eventually I'll write the fourth Magic Time novel, but that'll be after we make the show. So David, what's next? Fourth question?
Yeah, let's see here. Okay, we could probably end off on this one. There's a bunch of people that are asking how they're going to get you on their show as guests. So I'm going to put them all in one file.
Yeah.
And then we'll send them off, and you can get in touch.
Yeah. Put them together and send them to Angelique, and she can schedule all that stuff. Particularly during the Kickstarter campaign, that'll be a good time to schedule that.
I love Mark's stories in Sci-Fi Nation. That's Galinda B. Galinda needs to be on the table. She just reached out to me.
Cool.
Living Two Digital Sign says, Space Command Episode 1 was better than any 2020-21 movie I've seen so far. The only one that held interest was Monster Hunter. The rest was dross.
Okay. Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Elaine and I, and I think all of us working on Space Command are very proud of it. I think we really tell a story that's worth telling, and we're so glad that our dear Mira Furlan, who we lost to West Nile virus a few weeks ago, was part of our cast. I mean, she's a brilliant actress, and I'm really glad I gave her a meaningful role, because she was very thrilled to be part of Space Command. So I mean, that's that. So I think we're doing the job, and it's nice.
There's a new video online from Looper talking about the stars that we've lost already in 2021. And Mira's mentioning, although they say there was no cause of death mentioned. Other than that, she gets a nice little mention in this video.
Yeah, it's just craziness, crazy. So now I guess it's me, wonderful me. So so yay! And so the stuff is going really, really well. As I mentioned, every day I'm writing on the new book, and it's coming along. And I quote events from the careers of Guillermo del Toro and Ray Bradbury and J.J. Abrams and all these other people relating to how you build a career in the industry, whether you're a writer, director, actor, producer. It's and I talk about subjects that they never talk about in books like that, such as how do you schedule your time when you're working for yourself? How do you, build? How do you attach actors? Just very nuts and bolts stuff. And but really, really glad to be doing it. I'm on the one about raising money now, which is most people find totally daunting, but there's a lot of ways to do it. So I go into that. Meanwhile, Space Command, as I mentioned earlier, we're almost done with the second hour, and we'll be releasing that very, very soon. We've shot, we've got 6 hours of Space Command that's in the can, and we started shooting the 7th hour, and I'm very proud of it all. And it's just delightful. And we've sent the work in progress of the first 6 hours to our investors and our actors, and those who've sat down and watched it have just been incredibly complimentary. So I'm very, very glad of that. Beyond that, with Sweethaven, we're going to be doing the Zoom table read, which will be putting out to our audience. And we're setting off to raise $36 million to make 6 2-hour backdoor pilots, and that's going to be fairly phenomenal. The creators of Farscape and Defiance and The Expanse and executive producer of Pretty Little Liars are on board on this project, and no one's ever done this before. It's creating a slate of 6 shows and taking them out to the buyers to say buy all 6, and you can mark it under the Showrunners Network title. So it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. So I think that's sort of the main stuff right now. Building creatures, building sets, on and on. If you aren't subscribed to my Mr. Sci-Fi channel, that's really where you can find out about all of this stuff ongoingly. We've got a Space Command store where you can buy things like T-shirts. We've got a Patreon account, and we're still selling Space Command shares. So it just keeps going. So now I see that one more person is signed on. Stuart, you'd be the last person tonight. So if you want to introduce yourself and say what you're up to, that'd be great. Oh, you have to unmute. Remember to unmute.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Stuart Smith. I'm a freelance stage manager.
Great.
I've done assistant directing on films, non-DGA.
Cool.
I'm a probation officer, and I'm just always looking for a new project to develop.
Cool. That's great. Well, welcome. Is there anything you need right now?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I'm good right now because things are in flux.
Yes, they are indeed.
Had you ever thought to develop something about your profession?
Being a parole officer.
Being a parole officer?
Probation. Yes.
Probation officer.
Yes.
Probation officer. I mean,
probation is county. Parole is usually state.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows that.
Yeah, I kind of worked threw around a few ideas. As a matter of fact, I have a couple people I'm talking with. We're thinking about doing something.
Great.
But the main thing I want to work on is a game show idea.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm trying to develop and get together.
Good.
My background is game shows.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we can certainly always use a good one. So so great. Well, so great. So anything else for
welcome.
now?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm good right now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Excellent.
Thank you.
So good. So I guess David, maybe one last Mr. Sci-Fi question, then we'll call it
I think
night.
they're gone.
No, they're not.
No.
Okay. Let's see here. This one's odd.
That is perfect.
We can end on an odd one. That's
yes.
fun.
That's fine.
Chamberlain says, David, has Mark heard about Grizzly 2 Revenge sequel?
I have.
Which apparently has long-lost performances by Louise Fletcher, George Clooney, Laura Dern, and Charlie Sheen.
Yes. I have
seen the light of day.
I have just read an article about this movie. I think it's going to be appallingly bad. It was not finished. It was shot decades ago, like 40 years ago. And from everything I read about it, it just sounds terrible.
What a cast.
Yeah.
Don't be fooled by the cast on the movie. I read a review for it, and they say that cast is pretty much gone in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, but eaten by a bear. But the but the movie I actually would like to see the original version of is when they remade The Thing, the recent one that has all the Norwegians. Originally, it was made with practical effects for the creature effects, and the studio, being stupid, said, "Oh, this is outdated. Make it all CG." And so they'd had very little money left, and so they did this really shitty CG, which made the movie just a piece of crap. But the original stuff, I've seen a few shots of the original animatronics, and they look really good. So I'm going to reach out to Tom Woodruff, who plays the alien in many movies, the xenomorph, and he was the creature builder, and I'm going to see if he might be able to direct me to a cut of that version of the film, because that might be significantly better. So yep.
One last one we can end on.
Sure.
Okay. W2
Yes.
Digital Design and William Jackson Space Command held my attention. Great SFX story. Seeing Mira made me cry, but was still great to be with her for an hour.
Yes.
Was great above the dross that's out there.
Yes, yes.
Thank
And thank you. Mira's also in the half-hour prequel audio play that we did that we're doing also as an animatic with the graphic novel illustrations. And she also, when we did Ripple Effect, the 2-hour episode that was done entirely during the pandemic, or mostly during the pandemic, with our actors shooting their own scenes with their own cameras in their own home. We wrote a scene specifically for Mira, which she was wonderful in. And so that's on Mr. Sci-Fi. You can watch that for free. And I mean, she was just, I met her when we both worked on Babylon 5, and I'd wanted to work with her again, and thank God I was able to. You know, I mean, we're all here for only a short amount of time comparatively, and the great part for all of us, what's an honor for all of us who work in film and television and books, is that what we do as our job and as our art, if we do it well, it lives after us. And you know, and there's so many friends that I've lost over the years, you know, I mean, people like George Clayton Johnson and, you know, Richard Matheson and on, Harlan Ellison, that their work has lived on, and they did a great job, and they inspired all of us. So there's that. So yeah, so for Mira, and the issue number 2, as I mentioned earlier, issue number 2 of the comic book will be a special issue dedicated to Mira, and the pilot of Space Command will also be dedicated to Mira. So you know, that's where it goes. So well, thank you all for being here. It's always great to have you. It's another great evening. So we will be here next Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. So everyone stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you then. Okay, guys? Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye, guys. Bye, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. We will talk again soon.